To start with, you guys get a really gross shot of my scar because it itches really bad right now. So I'm letting it air. Um, he, those liquid bandage things are no joke. They're horrible and they itch and I hate them and I want it to freaking dissolve already. But you're not allowed to peel it off, so you just kind of gotta let it do its thing. And it itches and it's uncomfortable. And the longer your clothes are on top of it, the more it itches. So like while I was at this movie, I like had my shirt down the whole time, like air, because it's dark. So hopefully no one can see what I'm doing. Anyways, I'm letting it air again because it itches. The movie I saw today is Hidden Figures, which I did not know was opening in Atlanta this early, but it opened on Christmas here in Atlanta. It was actually filmed here in Atlanta. So I was just thinking, or I was looking, they shot this film in March, and it's already out, and it had all these special effects, and I'm just thinking how fast special effects are made nowadays. It's crazy. But anyways, the film is mostly about Katherine Johnson, played by Taraji P. Henson, but also several other women who worked on the space program, including Dorothy Vaughan and Mary Jackson. And the film stars Taraji P. Henson, Octavia Spencer, Janelle Monáe, Kevin Costner, Kirsten Dunst, Jim Parsons, and Mahershala Ali, who obviously Mahershala Ali and Janelle Monáe were both in Moonlight. They're having a great year. I think they're nominated for 2 different SAG ensembles because I think Moonlight and this were nominated for SAG ensemble. So, way to go, casting directors. Janelle Monáe is having a great year. So this is based on a book that I have actually not read, but I am going to track down, by Margaret Lee Shetterly, also known as Hidden Figures. Her father was at NASA at the same time as these women. She grew up in Hampton, Virginia, which is where these women lived. And so, she's sort of the natural person to tell the story. She also set up a thing called the Human Computers. What are they calling it? The Human Computers Human Computer Project, which is a way to catalog the history of these women who were computers before computers really existed, mechanical computers. So it's interesting story behind this film. So the film is directed by Theodore Melfi, who did St. Vincent a few years ago. I did not see that. And it's co-written by him and Allison Schroeder. Allison Schroeder wrote Mean Girls 2, which I have not seen, but is directed by Melanie Mayron, so I need to check that out. And the bulk of the film is about the space race slightly before the Russians make it to space, like put a man in space, and then leading up to John Glenn becoming the first American to orbit the Earth. The 3 of them are very different sort of mathematicians, all of which were math things that I can't explain to you because I can't do math. I can barely do arithmetic, let alone like complicated math. It's not for me. But what I thought was great about the film was that it hits several sort of key moments in Americana from the early 60s. You have the space race, you have the Cold War, you have segregation, you have feminism, you have the Battle of the Sexes, you have what was the other thing that was on there? Wait, hold on. I tweeted this so that I wouldn't have to think about it. Cold War, space race. I tweet my notes sometimes. I also tweet way too many other things. Here we go. Space race. Oh, Kennedy, obviously. Civil rights. They have both sort of callbacks to the demonstrations and court cases, mostly shown through the story of Mary Jackson and her husband. Her husband was clearly a demonstrator, and they watch on the news at one point about the bombing of bus demonstrators, and then she takes a case to court in order to take classes that she needs in order to become an engineer. So they sort of show you both ways in which the civil rights movement was working, both within the court system and physically demonstrating. Yeah, and then the dawn of computers, and you have this great moment where the women that Octavia Spencer sort of supervises, she realizes, like, these computers are going to come take their jobs, but someone has to run the computers and program the computers, and if we want our jobs, that better be us. And what's great about the film, I think, is that it really shows that there a lot of what you have to do in order to succeed is to prepare yourself for what comes next and to keep thinking, like, what can I do to make myself invaluable? Now, embedded in that is both sexism and racism of the early 60s. And so you have those sort of battles where you're like, you have to be 10 times better than everybody else in order to prove yourself as a Black woman. Wow, okay, Siri just told me that I'm entitled to that opinion. Look at this. I didn't say this, whatever it is that this claims I said, and then that's what Siri said back. Siri, you're a jerk, and you always come on when I'm doing reviews. Siri's a little salty. So where was I going? Thank you for disrupting me, Siri. There were a couple of moments that were a little white saviory, both with Kevin Costner and with the guy playing John Glenn, but it worked. And the movie itself really isn't white saviory because these three women sort of get their opportunities because they've earned them, and they fight for them, and they don't back down. Like, they don't take no for an answer. They just keep being the best and being better than everybody in order to just be treated the same as everybody. So there's definitely like a lot of sociological reading that you could do to sort of contextualize this movie. That said, it's got enough sort of Cliff Notes-y moments of everything that was happening at this time that I think audiences will walk away delighted and not too misinformed, which with a PG sort of crowd pleaser movie out of Hollywood, that's saying a lot. And again, it's some of the greatest ensemble performances of the year are in this film. So you should definitely check it out. It's in limited right now. It's going to be in wide next week, I think. And it's just really great. And I just wish there were more and more films about sort of the women who built this country getting their films made, because there's so much information, so much interesting story, so many interesting stories about women, and specifically women of color, that are continually ignored. And it's just nice to see that slowly these stories are being told instead of the same versions of World War II movies, cough, Dunkirk, cough, that keep getting made over and over again. So you should definitely go support this film, and I think you'll enjoy it.